Okay, guys, we're carrying on just a very quick glimpse of this book. I said really everything I wanted to say in part one. Welcome to Defending Elvis. Um, Look, I have a lot of respect for people that defend Elvis, that love Elvis, that are upset with all of the lies and the trash that has been said about him, and that just want the world to know the real Elvis. Yeah, the true Elvis, the lovely man that he was. I never believe that Elvis should be hero worshipped like a god. Don't agree with that. He was a normal person with an amazing talent. Yes, he was very good looking, a very sexy man, an amazing personality. He had a heart of gold. He was a very religious Christian man and a very spiritual man. But no matter what we say about Elvis, he was one of us, a human being. So I don't think, I've always said this, I don't think Elvis would want us to put him on a pedestal like a god. I don't think that. Yes, he wanted to do good. He wanted to help everyone around him, even complete strangers. He did so much for charity. Was a very kind man. I don't think Elvis was just hell-bent on having sex with different people. I think that's been massively exaggerated. I honestly think that Elvis was very sick, so he needed a lot of his prescription medication, even though he may have abused them or been addicted to some of them. He was sick. Yeah, he needed his medications. Yeah, he genuinely needed them, and he was sick through his whole life. Yeah, I think the public don't understand that. They call him a druggie, a junkie, all different horrible things. It's just so unfair. In the end, things did, I think, get out of control when it comes to his prescription medication. A very tough time for everyone around Elvis, including Elvis himself. Yeah. Now, Elvis was, if you listen to people like Ginger Alden and other people, Elvis was looking forward to the future, very optimistic, very hopeful for the future, looking forward to his tour when he died. I think was starting to get better, but it wasn't meant to be. So when I see defenders trying to change how Elvis has been very unfairly portrayed, it does get my attention. So this book, Baby Bird, I call it, which is a free book that's sent to everyone, did get my attention because it was mentioned on my Defending Elvis Facebook page. So I've done part one, a review of this book. I'll be straight with you. I don't agree with a lot of the things in this book. The thing that does stand out is this woman wants to defend Elvis. This woman loves Elvis. Yeah, that is 100%. Her views are very, I would say, very bizarre. Yeah. There are some parts of the book that I agree with, but generally, it's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. I think you guys who read this book will have to make your own opinions of the book. So we're on page 16. Let me just show you the. So this is the title. It's Elvis Aaron Presley, The Man, The Truth by Baby Bird, revised edition. Okay, so I think quite a few of you have heard of this book. She sent me a free PDF. I have read most of it. Some of it can be very shocking, but there are parts that I half agree with when she discusses certain family members, certain ex-girlfriends, Priscilla, Jerry Schilling, yeah, Red West, Sunny West. There are parts in it, but there are some parts I think she has a point. A lot of it is a bit too out there for me. I definitely don't agree with the murder theory that she has. Honestly, I don't agree with it at all. And I do think that she does put Elvis a bit on too much of a pedestal, like he's godlike, which I don't think Elvis would want. So I mean that with respect. So let's just read a small section of it. He always bit his fingernails. He chewed gum and smoked, though he didn't inhale. Okay, though in an effort not to bite his fingernails, but it did not work. He was nearly always nervous, and he could not take criticism, cut him to his very soul, which is why he was always did everything he did to the best of his ability. He always gave 100%. Now, he did always give 100%. I didn't know Elvis bit his fingernails. I didn't know that. I agree that he would, smoke those cigarellos sometimes and not inhale. Did he chew gum a lot? I think think sometimes. Remember, this is Judy's point of view, not mine. Let's just keep going. Whatever he was doing, whether on stage or singing, recording, it had to be perfect. I agree with that. He really did want things to be right. No matter how many takes it took, it is the same reason he hated doing some of the movies. So much of it made him physically ill. Well, you know, I've seen that interview. Yeah, I've listened to the interview and seen it. Yes, eventually he got so sick of the scripts being terrible because he thought even Elvis, I think, believed he had the potential to be a great actor. Maybe not in the beginning, but eventually. I think Elvis could have been a brilliant actor if he was given a chance. Saying that, I loved Jailhouse Rock. I loved King Creole. Brilliant film. Proved that he could be a very good actor. But the physically ill bit, it comes from an interview where he was just sick of the terrible scripts, and the cheesy movies eventually did make him feel like just, it's hard to explain. So I'm just getting a comment here. The cheesy movies eventually just did make him feel physically sick. They did. Let me just get I just want to get this comment up here, right? Let me just turn the volume down. Right, so let's keep going. So whatever he was doing, whatever on stage, singing, recording, it had to be perfect no matter how many takes it took. I agree with that. It is the same reason he hated doing some of the movies, which made him feel physically ill. He was just sick of the cheesy movies, wasn't he, guys? The movies themselves were not good. Well, it depends how you see it, because I saw the cheesy movies in the 70s that were rerun on TV here in the UK. I loved them. But yes, if you want to look at a movie from a dramatic point of view, movies like King Creole, they were very more dramatic, very, how can I say it? People took those movies more seriously. But even the cheesy movies, guys, they changed my life. I would sit there as a kid in the 70s and 80s and be like in awe of those movies, watching Elvis. Some of the songs in the cheesy movies were beautiful. And we get to see Elvis that is looking really amazing, looking happy, looking healthy. So sometimes I think the cheesy movies get a bit of a bad rap. Yeah. I understand they were corny, but from a child's perspective, those movies changed my life, and I think changed millions of people's lives. So yeah, that's my view on it. Because he knew no matter how good he was in the movies themselves were not good. When Elvis looked in the mirror, it was not because he was being vain or narcissist, like some might tell you. It was because he was making sure he looked good and no one could criticize him. Oh, I don't know about that, but right, okay. So let's keep going. Elvis was terrified of people not liking him. I think terrified's a bit of an extreme word, but we all want to be liked, don't we, guys? Not loving him. That is why he gave so much of himself all the time. He needed people to love him with an overwhelming desire to try and fill that lonely hole he had in his heart. I agree that some people would say Elvis felt lonely at times, felt something was missing. Some people put it down to losing his twin, obviously his mother. So, we can reword things to suit ourselves. Obviously, this is Judy's words. It is why he left so many people use him, because he hated being alone. So he let people use him because he hated being alone. It's very obvious Elvis loved company. So still an unusual way to word things. Elvis had the greatest capacity for love and to love and be loved. Lisa was his greatest love. I'm going to have to agree with that. Yeah, Lisa definitely was his greatest love. Two Elvis children were the most sacred and knew and understood how fragile they were and how easily their psyche could be damaged by thoughtless adults, as his had been by his. Right. So then she does go on to a very long section here about Gladys. I don't agree with any of it, honestly. So no offense, Judy, your views on Gladys, I don't agree with any of them. So let's just keep scrolling through. 1 second, guys. So, right, there's a lot of pages here. So, obviously, if you guys want to read this book, that's down to you. She speaks about everything Elvis. You can tell Judy has done a lot of research. Yeah, a lot of research. She talks about in this section. I'm looking at the Elvis What Happened book. Let me just read that small section. Above all, Elvis was a gentleman in the sense who always thought of others' needs, even if they did not know it. He said to his daddy, "You see their wants, I see their needs." I get that. I get that. Sadly, a lot of the advantage of the caring, giving spirit of his did not return. Eventually, Elvis had to come to terms with it and recognize their disloyalty, which was extremely hard for him. Ironically, I believe the book the West and Hebler wrote, so Elvis What Happened. Elvis gave Elvis the courage to make those changes, though he never got the chance to put them into practice. He had them planned. He wanted to go back to making movies, good ones, to fire Parker and others stop touring. Most importantly, he wanted full custody of Lisa. He knew all his fans still loved him. And after that book was released, then, yeah. So I understand all those points. I think probably quite a lot of fans will agree with you on many of those points I've just read out. Let's keep going. Let's have a look. Elvis's most coveted dream was to bring the world together. Elvis had been allowed to live. I think he would have managed it. He matured a lot in the last couple of years of his life and was overwhelmed when the President Carter phoned him on New Year's Eve, 1977, to ask him to be his special advisor for youth. Right. Okay. Is that true? Is that true? I remember President Carter. Is it true that Elvis on New Year's Eve, she says 76, 77, asked him, that President Carter asked Elvis to be his advisor for youth? I've never heard that. Is it true? Sadly, it never happened because the book happened instead. But had it happened, had he lived, I think he would have gone on to be an ambassador for the world peace, and he would have achieved his greatest dream. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see Elvis becoming an ambassador for the world in a good way. In a good way. I see that in Elvis. Yeah. I do think the Elvis, the statesman, the elder statesman, could have been magnificent, could have been amazing. So I understand that point. So it says, I think he would have gone on to be ambassador for the world peace, and he would have achieved the greatest dream. Doors that would have been shut for most would have been open for him. I agree. Everyone did open doors for Elvis. Everyone wanted to meet Elvis. That is true. Oh, come on. We know about the Nixon meeting as well. Everyone loved Elvis. Everyone wanted to meet Elvis. We know that. I think even Elvis knew that everyone wanted to meet him. His magnetism was so great that he could have achieved what no one else could. That I fully agree with that. Elvis could have achieved what no one else could. 100%. Great comment. But those controlled by greed and cold hearts murdered him because, right, okay, this is where she talks about the murder theory. I don't believe Elvis was murdered. I think that's rubbish. But I do think he was very, very unfairly treated by many of the people very close to him. Very close to him. Very unfairly treated. It's still going on today, guys. This has been going on for 40 years. Yeah, this is why we run a channel called Defending Elvis. Yeah, so let's keep going. So then she talks about his charisma. Obviously, Elvis had bucket loads of charisma. Yeah. So if there are some things now where it all becomes a bit Elvis is like a god. Yeah. I don't go along with that. He was a normal human being with an amazing talent, an amazing heart, a beautiful heart. Yeah. So I'm just rushing through some stuff here. She talks about many other things: abortion, reincarnation. Let's have a look. Elvis did not want to marry Scylla. Here's the... Yeah, so I think it's very possible. Many of the Elvis fans believe Elvis was pressured into marriage, didn't want to get married. She mentions the housekeeper, Alberta Holman, discussing that Elvis just didn't want to get married. It says here, one day before Elvis married Priscilla, his housekeeper, the cook Alberta Hoffman, caught him crying in despair about the upcoming wedding, and she asked him what was wrong. Elvis replied, I don't want to marry Priscilla. And she asked Elvis why didn't just cancel it if it was making him so unhappy. I can't, I have no choice. We've all heard that story. I do think Elvis was pressured into marriage. I do. Not just by other people, by his own self, by himself. Yeah. He felt he had to do the right thing. Maybe he had made promises. Yeah. His own religious beliefs, his Christian beliefs. So, right, let's just flick through. So yeah, there are some interesting things in here. The Elvis's will, the whole will is in here if you want to see it. There's a lot to go through, guys. So then she does mention lots of her theories. It's up to you if you want to read them. Right, so then let's have a look at this. In 1958, Elvis earned over $1 million in a year. In such a short time, he had come a long way. Yeah, so this is very interesting. She describes Elvis's different jobs, different incomes that he had, which I will quickly read that. Most know about Elvis giving to just about every person that he met. He was famous. I had heard some naysayers say it wasn't anything special because he had all the money. Why should he not give to some others? The truth is, Elvis was always a giver. I agree. Elvis was always a giver, even as a child when he had nothing. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. It was his nature to give. It always had been. Definitely. So then there's a few stories here where Elvis, just so obviously, like he would give toys to his friends and neighbors. Let's have a look. There's some cute little stories here concerning that. You can find this, download it, and look it up yourself. That she has very strong views on Gladys that I don't agree with. But there is a bit here. Let me see if I can get to that section. Is this the bit where it says, what is this? So she discusses family members. There's a section here about Minnie May. She has a lot of opinions about Vernon. Again, for you guys to read up yourself. Vernon was well enough. Elvis could not wait to introduce him on stage. The love between them was evident for everyone to see. When Elvis died, I believe Vernon died of a broken heart. He just could not go on without his boy. I have been told that he would lay a red rose on Elvis's grave every day and would spend most of the day in Elvis's bedroom crying for his son, except for the time that he spent investigating his son's death. Vernon was convinced. I've heard that Vernon was searching for answers concerning Elvis's death. Yeah, so there's information out there. Obviously, this fits with Judy's story concerning she feels Elvis was murdered. I don't think Elvis was murdered, guys. Great picture, Elvis and his dad tinkering. I've never seen that picture, actually. What a lovely picture. Never seen that picture. Have any of you? I want to take a picture of that. I've never seen this picture. What a great picture. Seriously, guys. Love that picture. Is that a real picture? That is amazing. Wow. Great picture, Judy. So let's have a look. So Elvis's greatest achievement, he said, was having Lisa. I agree with that. Elvis, who looked after his little Bernadette Silla, was hardly ever there. Obviously, the fans have strong views that Priscilla abandoned Lisa, sent her to summer camp, eventually to Scientology. Were upset about what happened to Lisa at the hands of Priscilla's boyfriend, Michael Edwards. So, yeah. we have, even Riley Q kept things in the book From Here to the Great Unknown, exposing a lot of wrongdoing. Yeah, a lot of wrongdoing from Priscilla to her daughter. So, I'm not going to lie, guys. We're very upset with Priscilla. Yeah. So, let's keep going. But never hate when it comes to anybody. We're not a hate channel. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at this bit here. Okay, so I think she talks about Priscilla. She talks about the divorce, how it affected poor Lisa Marie. A lot of this you're going to have to read yourself, guys. She starts talking about different family people like Charlie Hodge, Larry Geller. I think Charlie Hodge and Larry were destined to become friends with Elvis. Both had the chance meeting with Elvis before they got to know him. Yeah. Larry met Elvis after a concert in LA where he was about 16 years old. Yeah, and I've seen this. If you go on YouTube, you'll see that they did have a chance meeting, and then as a fan, yeah, and then years later, obviously, he becomes his hairdresser, and they discuss spiritual beliefs together. So, Larry wasn't always the most popular of the Memphis Mafia guys, was he? He was given quite a hard time. I think the Memphis Mafia didn't really like Larry. Yeah. A bit like Ginger Alden. He wasn't accepted. She definitely was an outsider from their point of view, wasn't she, guys? I believe that Ginger got a real bad rap. I think Ginger gets very unfairly treated. But I also accept that they were only together 9 months. So we can't ignore that, guys. So I'm just flicking through the book. There's, what's this? So she talks about his medical problems, like she mentions that he had inherited a lazy bowel, diabetes, the way they tried to medicate him with a sleep diet, that she's saying, but it's all bogus. So please do not believe the pseudo-scientific programs. They are all bogus. In case you're wondering, I have a diploma in anatomy and physiology, and I do know a bit about how the body works. Let's have a look. So she has strong, if you go through here, let me just look. Elvis did have problems. He took medication, but don't forget that he was out riding his Harley 2 days before his death, and a heavy bike that you need to be fit to maneuver. The night before he died, we are told that he was playing racquetball. If he had heart problems, he could not have. Yeah, you can't ignore the fact. If Elvis was playing racquetball the night before he died, which he was, yeah, how do you do that if you're like really, really sick? Yeah. So she makes a good point. Obviously, read her words. She mentions viral arthritis. Let's have a look. I'm not going to read all this word for word, guys. It's hundreds of pages. There was a bit in I liked where she dispels all the myths. Right, so here's the will. You can go through the will. I have posted the will on the Defending Elvis Facebook page. So for you guys that are interested in reading the will, obviously it's a lot to read. And it even shows the bits where it's been signed. See that, guys? You got the signatures there. Very interesting. Very interesting. You got Ginger Alden, Charlie Hodge, Dewey Smith, obviously Elvis. Okay, what's this? How I Remember Elvis to Be. So again, lots of stuff here. I was just going to see if I could find the bit where she dispels a lot of the myths. So Priscilla would say things, wouldn't she? Like one of them was his germaphobe stuff. I'm not convinced any of the things that Priscilla says about Elvis are true. She talks about his spiritual and religious beliefs. which I think defined Elvis. I think Elvis's religious beliefs were Elvis's core. Yeah. Come on, even when Elvis first became very famous, he still wanted to sing his gospel songs. I think she talks about his medications. She also talks about racism. That Elvis, there's no way that Elvis was racist and didn't see color. So then there's myth busting things here now to do with horse riding. I'll just let you I'll just put it on there so you guys can read it. Pause it, read it. There's another one. This thing about Elvis being a germaphobe. Another one of Scylla's myths is that Elvis was a germaphobe. I have serious doubts if she actually knows what one is. She said he was one because he always had his own cup. Doesn't everyone? Because he never took her out to dinner, which we know is also a lie because there are numerous photos proving that he did take her out for dinner. How could he possibly be a germaphobe when he kissed all those women? So she's disproving a lot of the myths. So here's another one. Elvis treated Priscilla like a living doll. Now, you know my views, guys. Elvis didn't control and groom Priscilla. It's bullshit. She had loads of freedom. Loads of freedom. She could do whatever she wanted. Priscilla always proclaimed that Elvis always told her what to wear, how to have her hair, that her hair had to be jet black, what style she had, how to do her makeup. This is not true. The fact is that she led... I have read between... Sorry. It's just bullshit. Elvis didn't control Priscilla. She could do whatever she wants. He was away a lot, and she kept herself very busy. She could have any visitors she wanted. She had her own car, money, everything. So don't fall for the controlling bullshit. So, even this section here, I'll pause it so that you guys can screenshot it or read it. More bullshit. So I do like the myth busting part of the book. Yeah. She had plenty of freedom, guys. Don't fall for it. Let's have a look. So I haven't read this, but in 1959, while Elvis was stationed in Germany, Scylla already had a bit of a reputation. It had been said for liking wild boys. Yeah, so obviously she's discussing now some of the things that are in the Child Bride book. I hate the name of this book, Child Bride, because she was never a child bride. She was nearly 22 when they got married. But I think this is where this comes from, because she mentions Cary Grant. So in 1959, while Elvis was stationed in Germany, Scylla already had a bit of a reputation and with liking the boys. And when she found out Elvis was there, she made it her mission to meet him. And I've heard this. We don't know if this is true, but it's possible. At that time, Elvis and the image of being a wild boy even thought he was not. It has been written that Scylla had intercourse with Cary Grant, a DJ on the camp, to get him to take her to meet Elvis. We've discussed this before, haven't we, guys? When the date was arranged, she got her mother to do her makeup and make her look like Deborah Paget. So we've discussed this as well. She changed her hair. Scylla even wore her mother's clothes to make herself look older. What parent does that? The 14-year-old daughter. So when they go on to the rock star's house, who they do not even know till 3 a.m. unless they have dollar signs in their eyes. So I've heard it all, guys, that Priscilla's mum and Priscilla were hell-bent on meeting Elvis. Yeah, they had a plan even before they even went to Germany. So I'm not saying it's true. The Child Bride stuff keeps getting thrown at me. Remember, there are many things in the book Child Bride that are not nice. That trash Elvis. Yeah, disgusting things about Elvis. So be careful with this book. Be careful. Sally Hoddle. No, not Sally Hoddle, sorry. Suzanne Finstad, the author, has said some pretty disgusting things about Elvis in the book and in interviews. So be very careful with that book, guys. It may not be the saving grace you think it is. I know that the Priscilla haters will use that book many times, again and again, to try and basically show the world that Priscilla is a devil. But Be careful with that book, guys. Be careful. Right. So now, do I think Priscilla was a sweet, innocent girl when Elvis first met her? No, I don't. No, I don't. I definitely don't. So I think there's probably a section here concerning Michael Edwards. Yeah, obviously, we are disgusted by the Michael Edwards thing. We've read the parts of the book that. So I've dropped it over there. So let me just get it, guys. We've read the parts of the book that expose Michael Edwards' feelings towards Lisa in this book, and it's bloody disgusting. We have to say it's alleged for entertainment purpose, but this is disgusting, guys. If I read it out to you now, the bits where Michael Edwards is talking about Lisa Marie, who was a minor, you would be horrified. It is disgusting. So obviously, I have to say it's alleged for entertainment purposes, not an opinion, not a fact, just an opinion. But it ain't good. Some say Priscilla turned a blind eye to what was happening because she didn't want to lose Michael Edwards. She was infatuated with Michael Edwards. Yeah, obsessed with him. She chose to not believe Lisa. Lisa tried to tell her mum what was happening, and the mum didn't listen. Yeah, so alleged. Yeah. So then there's a discussion here concerning Margaret. She has very strong views about Anne Margaret. I'll let you read that for yourselves, guys. Obviously, we are massive fans of Anne Margaret. Yeah. One of the very loyal people to Elvis that always kept things to herself. She did go on to marry Roger, and she always said Roger was the love of her life, didn't she? She did, guys. She's always loved Elvis and always spoke beautifully about Elvis. Has never shared any negative things about Elvis. She's been very loyal. We love Anne Margaret, but ultimately she did love Roger. She did love Roger, didn't she, guys? There's a section in here about Joyce Bova. Then there's another section concerning Linda Thompson. I do think Linda Thompson was good for Elvis for about a year, but then it all goes wrong. She mentions a couple of affairs that Linda had. I think one was David Briggs. What was the other name she mentioned? There was two names she mentioned. So Sheila Ryan has been interviewed, and she speaks about Linda, doesn't she? Elvis was seeing other people, wasn't he? When he was with Linda. There's a lot of stuff being said about Linda that we've all heard about Linda's spending habits, and about Linda was still sort of living off Elvis even after they split up, and many other things. I'm just trying to find the other name. There was a rumor that she was seeing David Briggs and another person, and one of them was married. Is that right? So Linda was one of the people Linda may have been seeing was a married man. Yeah, I think that's her words. Yeah. Then she talks a lot about Ginger Alden. Again, please read it for yourselves, guys. Let's have a look. So it's pretty, if you just like reading, guys, it's pretty amazing. Okay. That's right, guys. It's, even though a lot of it I don't agree with, a lot of research went into creating this book. There's a big section here to do with is it Vesta saying that Ginger was banned from Gracelands. I think some people say this has now been disproven, that it wasn't true. So Ginger Alden, Elvis Presley's live-in fiance at the time of his death, has been banned from Gracelands, his Memphis mansion, and she's not even allowed to visit the grave without permission. Ginger Alden is dead now, as far as the family is concerned. He's probably talking about Elvis, yeah? As far as the family are concerned, Vesta Presley, the rock idol's uncle, we don't recognize her as a human being. Was that even said? I don't know, guys. Ginger has been shunned by the public grade to access Gracelands. So Elvis admirers who want to visit the grave need to simply line up at the Memphis gates. So you can read that for yourself, guys. I'm not going to read it all now. I have posted this on our Defending Elvis Facebook page. So, there's Ginger looking amazing there. Ginger Alden can't even visit Elvis's grave without special permission. Is that true? Is there any truth to this? I don't know, guys. Which tells me that maybe she's not a fan. Now, she does go into the Billy Smith stuff. Now, she has very strong views concerning Billy Smith. I don't want to go into them here. I'm not doing this video to trash Billy Smith. Many of you have strong views about Billy Smith. Many of you adore Billy and love Billy as well. So if you want to know her views on Billy Smith, you'll just download the book. It's free, guys. It's free. So I'm definitely not going to agree with any of her views concerning Billy Smith. But I do think some of you may find it very fascinating. There's quite a long Billy Smith section there. One thing I will say, guys, Elvis did love Billy. 100% Elvis did love Billy. It's a couple of great pictures there, isn't there? Of Billy and Elvis. Is that Billy on the set of Follow That Dream? Yeah, I think she discusses whether or not Billy went on tour with Elvis. She discusses, wasn't there a period where Billy left Gracelands? I think that is mentioned, and then was rehired by Elvis. Billy goes to work for the railroads for a while. Let's have a look. This is a bit, you can see there's a section here with Elvis and Dixie. God, I love seeing Elvis looking young. That's a great picture, guys. And I think Dixie has always spoke beautifully of Elvis, hasn't she? I actually think if Elvis had not have become famous, he would have married young. He would have, and I think he would have married someone like Anita Wood. No, actually, no, not Anita Wood, because that is after Fame, Anita Wood. But Elvis, too much temptation was out there. Once Elvis became famous, his whole world, when it comes to women and marriage, changed, I believe. Before Fame, Elvis wanted to settle down, have a family, have a good job. He was a very hard-working person, Elvis. And in this somewhere, she breaks down all the jobs that Elvis had from a very young age. Very interesting. A lot of research must have gone into it. Look here, Elvis bought his first pink Cadillac in 1955, and a white 1954 Cadillac provided transportation for Elvis and the Blue Moon Boys for about 3 months. The car went up in smoke when the brake lining caught fire on the road between, and that was in yeah. So we know about this story. As you can see, the state of the car. I didn't realize there was a picture of it. Elvis had his girlfriend not to go out in the time they would have perished. What horrible dream for Gladys. Yes, yeah, so Gladys had dreamed something was wrong, hadn't she? So what's this bit here? So so she does talk about a lot of Elvis's beliefs, unusual beliefs. She's talking about ancient Egypt. Obviously, you guys can read that. The bit I found very interesting, I might have skipped past it. She's got some views about Alexander the Great and stuff. You know, guys, I'm not buying into any of that. All of the sort of hero worship, God, Elvis is a God type person, comparing Elvis to Jesus, all that kind of stuff. It's just, I'm sorry, guys, I just don't fall for any of it. It's all crap. No offense, Judy, but all of this Elvis Jesus stuff, you know, it's bollocks. Yeah, there's quite a lot of it. Oh, I do like that picture there of Elvis. Look at Elvis there. Wow. Elvis as a boy dressed as a cowboy. That is so cool. What's it? Elvis was Jesus. Yeah, all that stuff. No, guys. Where are we? So then I think she goes into detail about Elvis's religious, spiritual beliefs. Now, I understand spirituality, you know, meditation, all that kind of stuff. Sorry, Sorry, guys, 1 second. Right. Yeah. So I'm just gonna skip past all the Jesus stuff. Don't forget, I'm a Christian man. Yeah. But Elvis was a human being. Trust me, and he wanted to be known as a human being. Uh, he wanted the world to know that he was normal, not a normal man with an amazing gift. And then she goes into a lot of detail about her murder theories, which again I think is just total bullshit. Elvis wasn't murdered; it's just bullshit. She talks about Nick Adams. Isn't he the guy that was on Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean? He's become Elvis's friend. I think that's it. So a lot of reading, guys. A lot of reading to do. I think she does summarize things. The bit I wanted to read out to you is all of Elvis's different jobs. Final diagnosis proves Elvis didn't kill himself. I'll take a picture of that. There's no way that Elvis killed himself. You know, we did a video on this, a live on this concerning David Stanley, didn't we, guys? So, yeah, I think, come on, guys, Elvis was sick. It's that simple. Very sick. He was in a lot of pain, couldn't sleep, had the worst colon problems, and many, many other medical problems. Do I believe the Alpha 1 theory in the book Destined to Die Young? No, I don't. I don't believe it. But this book does try and defend Elvis. That's got to be a good thing. Yeah. I tend to prefer this book. Yeah, tend to prefer this book. The Strange Medical Saga of Elvis Presley by Dr. Forrest Tennant. Elvis did not have an impact to Curtis, so she's just giving her theories on Elvis's health. She gives a eulogy. Let's have a look. She discusses people like John Lennon. He did a quote, didn't he? Sort of before Elvis, there was nothing. I think she mentions other people. Yeah. That's it, guys. So I will, let's get back to the cover. I'm going to try and post the link onto Defending Elvis Facebook page. I have posted the link onto the Defending Elvis chat, the Facebook page chat. I managed to get it on there, but I was struggling to get it onto here it is, there we are, to get it onto our Facebook Defending Elvis Facebook page. I'll give it a go. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, if someone said to me, should you read this book, I would say no, because it's very extreme, very bizarre. But I also think a lot of research has gone into this book, so you're going to learn some stuff that did happen. If you're a beginner and you know nothing about Elvis, there is some research in this book that is things that you may not know. But all of the bizarre opinions that he has, I don't agree with. All right, guys, that's it. I'm finishing up now. This is part 2. Go and watch part 1. To the to Julie, who has written this book, she believes all this stuff. That's her right. It's up to her. I can't tell people what to believe. So she wanted me to read the book. I did read it. I've given you my opinion on it. I do like anyone that's defending Elvis. It's got to be a good thing, defending Elvis. But the bizarre theories, sorry, not for me. Not my cup of tea. I would say almost 60-70% of what's in that book I don't agree with. Okay, guys, all the best. Love you all. I hope you find this interesting. Take care.